Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Camden, and welcome back to another live stream. Now in this one we are going to be talking yesterday's Premier League game between Everton and Newcastle United, obviously ending up in a 1-1 draw at Goodison Park. Now I'm just going to tweet the stream out just before we get started so everybody on Twitter knows where we are and what we're talking about. Bear with me just 2 seconds. We are now live. Come and join us to talk about yesterday's game. Okay. That is now out there. Hopefully we get a couple of people joining from Twitter. I do hope everybody has had a good day. It's Thursday, nearly the end of the week. If we get over today, get to Friday, then, it's good going into the weekend. Obviously, it wasn't a fantastic day yesterday for Everton. Wasn't a fantastic performance for me. If you see my instant match reaction afterwards, you'd have seen that I wasn't too happy at all. I just thought it was a really poor performance, to be honest with you. I thought we were polar opposites, if you like, to the game against Liverpool at Anfield on Sunday. And it's strange to say that, really, because, we didn't come away with anything on Sunday against Liverpool. Obviously the Jordan Pickford edit and all that, we ended up losing the game. And we got a point yesterday at Goodison Park, but I just thought we were really poor. I thought we looked tired. I thought we looked, a little bit lackadaisical. We didn't have that urgency. We didn't have that attacking threat that we're used to seeing in sort of every Premier League game this season, really, under Marco Silva. We just looked off. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that, to be honest. Look, we played on Sunday against Liverpool. We played one of the most competitive Merseyside derbies that there's been in recent times. Let's be honest, it was never going to be easy 2 days later to come and play another Premier League game against a team that were going to sit 11 men behind the ball and just give us the ball and just say, you need to break us down. It was a very, very tough game, and we knew it was going to be a tough game. Look, I optimistically said before that, I won 4 goals, I won 3 goals. I did, but I don't think that's quite took into consideration how tough this game was. But I don't think I quite thought that we'd be that poor, and I don't know, I'm probably going at it a little bit too much, and it's a one-off performance maybe. I think it probably is a one-off performance, but I just do think we were poor yesterday. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about in this live stream. Obviously, we'll talk about the game, we'll talk about the goals and all that, we'll talk about the changes that Marco Silva implemented. So we'll go into that first. So obviously Marco Silva made 3 changes to the team that played Liverpool at Anfield. He brought Ademola Lookman in for his first start and took Theo Walcott out. He brought Kurt Zouma back in and took Michael Keane out to give him a little bit of a rest. And he brought Cenk Tosun in and took Bernard out and moved Richarlison to the left. Now look, at the start of the game I was thinking, you know what, that's not that many changes, we can deal with that. At the end of the game I was thinking, maybe he changed a bit too much there. And I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking, how can we make 3 changes and we'd be sitting here thinking, was it the changes that made us not end up getting the victory in the end? And I think for me, look, the Ademola Lookman one, I'm not going to sit here and comment on because we wanted Ademola Lookman to start. He should have started. He's been playing well off the bench. Theo Walcott hasn't been fantastic this season. So it was fair enough for Ademola Lookman to start. I've been calling for it. A lot of other Blues have been calling for it as well. The Kurt Zouma one, again, I didn't really have an issue with that. The only sort of issue I could see, and I've seen other Blues talk about it, and I do understand it, is the breaking up that partnership between Yerry Mina and Michael Keane. Yerry Mina and Michael Keane have obviously been fantastic in recent times. First played together against Chelsea, absolutely brilliant there. At Anfield, they were fantastic as well. And I suppose the one thing you could say is, why break that up? I understand that Kurt Zouma is a very good player and he's played very well as well when he played this season, but I understand people saying, why break the Mina and Keane sort of partnership up when there's no need to, there's no injury, there's absolutely no reason to change that other than a fitness issue. And I don't think Michael Keane had a fitness issue. Marco Silva was speaking today. He had his pre-game press conference for the Watford game on Monday, and he said that there was no injuries. So as far as I was concerned, Michael Keane was fit, and that was just a decision to rest him. And that's fair enough. Like I said, at the time, I didn't have no qualms about that. I wasn't too, fussed about Kurt Zouma coming in. I know he's an absolutely class centre-half, and when he's played for us this season, he has been class, so I didn't have any issues with that. The other change was Cenk Tosun. Now, this is a little bit different. Cenk Tosun obviously come in up front, and on first looking at it, I thought, you know what, I don't mind that. I don't mind Cenk Tosun getting another go. I think, at times this season, he's played well. He's worked his heart out in every single game he's played, and, Sometimes that isn't enough, you're right, but maybe if you take him out the team for a few weeks and then give him another shot against a poor team like Newcastle, where at Goodison Park, maybe, you know, he'll come on leaps and bounds and he'll put in a quality performance. And we'll talk about, obviously, the performances of all three players that come in a little bit later on. Just in saying that, I don't think Cenk Tosun took his opportunity. I really don't. But for me, if you were to bring a Cenk Tosun back into the team, if you were to give him another run in, and that's fair enough, like I said, that's a decision that I don't think many Blues would have been sort of had issues with, rather, especially with, you know, Richarlison playing a lot of games recently. But that was the issue for me. If you're bringing Cenk Tosun in, surely Richarlison has to come out, and it's Richarlison who you give the rest to. Now, look, I understand the moving Richarlison over to the left, because, you know, stats speak, you know, 1,000 words, if you want to say that. But, you know, Richarlison has been very good on the left. He's done well playing up front in spells, but I think predominantly his better performances have come from that left hand side. Obviously, we've seen him score yesterday. I seen a stat that was Richarlison's created more chances in that one game on the left hand side than he did in his previous three starting up front, and I understand that, and I do. But for me, who's going to play up front against Watford if it's not Cenk Tosun? It's Richarlison. So if you're going to give Cenk Tosun a go against sort of a Watford, then you have to bring a Richarlison out. For me, taking Bernard out the team made a real difference. I thought Bernard was absolutely fantastic against Liverpool. I thought it was his best performance since the Leicester game. I thought he was right on it. He was aggressive. He was chasing down, and he was doing the defensive work as well. He was doing the dirty work that he needed to do, as well as obviously, you know, getting forward and creating chances. And there was a couple of times when he had the ball in a really good position, but you know, he just couldn't do anything with it because there was no one in the box. So I would have assumed that Richarlison would come out and Cenk Tosun would come in, and Richarlison would get that rest. But that wasn't the case. Obviously, we know Richarlison moved over to the left again. Don't have too many worries with that, but for me, Bernard needed to play that game because he played very well against Liverpool at Anfield, and it was a game that he really could have got it going. You know, he was in good form against a poor Newcastle team. He could have exploited their defensive frailties, which they have, and you know, he might have even got his first goal. I think the first thing, the thing for me with Bernard is he needs to score. He really needs to get that first goal in an Everton shirt, and then I think we'll see a player that'll just go from strength to strength. But I think every time he gets the ball near the edge of the box, he sort of hesitates and he doesn't know what he wants to do, because I do think that there is that pressure of the first goal. But yeah, that was a little bit of a confusing one for me. I'd have thought that Richarlison would have come out and Cenk Tosun would have come in, because like I said, the idea for Tosun to come in for me would have been to rest the player, and maybe he wanted to rest Bernard over Richarlison, but for me, I would have rather have took Richarlison out, even though he scored the goal, and I know he scored the goal, but taking him out and you know, give him a rest ahead of Watford, of course. So we've just mentioned briefly there, Marco Silva's had his pre-game press conference for the Watford game. He was predominantly asked questions about the Newcastle game. Obviously, it was last night, the press conference was this afternoon, so he was always going to get questions about the Newcastle game and the results and stuff. So we'll go into the stuff that he talked about the Watford game in the Watford preview, which will be out tomorrow as a video on the channel. So come, make sure you're around the channel tomorrow nightish, around 7 o'clock, 7:30, and the preview for that game will be up. But he did, like I say, mentioned a couple of things about the Newcastle game and the result, and he said, you know, it's a really difficult situation that he's in with the centre-backs, but it's a really good situation to have Yerry Mina, to have Kurt Zuma, to have Michael Keane all playing really well at the minute, and it's difficult for him from who to choose and whatnot, but it's a good situation to be in. He also, obviously, he was speaking about the chances that we created in the goal, and saying that, you know, we just weren't good enough. He spoke about Jordan Pickford and said that we always knew Jordan Pickford would bounce back mentally. Pickford was fantastic again yesterday night, and the one thing that really stuck in my mind with Jordan Pickford is late on in the second half when Theo Walcott come on. He had the ball in his hands and he volleyed it out of his hands, and he absolutely beat every single Newcastle player and put it on the toes of Theo Walcott, who was one-on-one with the keeper. And if it wasn't for a poor touch by Theo Walcott to get the ball stuck in between his legs, he'd have been one-on-one. And I don't want to sit here and say if it was a different player he'd have scored, but you can't help but think if maybe Richarlison was on the end of that, he'd have put it in the back of the net, and that would have been an assist for Jordan Pickford. But yeah, we all knew Jordan Pickford was going to bounce back mentally. He's that type of character, he's that type of player. We knew it wouldn't affect him too much. But one thing that Marco Silva did say, and I want to talk about it, I want to highlight it in the stream, because I think it's very interesting. If you're in the live comments, if you're watching live, then leave your comments on anything that we speak about on the game yesterday. What did you think about the game? What did you think about the changes? And if you're watching it on a video, of course, afterwards, then leave them down there as well. I'll be replying to every single comment, so leave your comments down there. But Marco Silva was asked the generic sort of question. He's been asked it in his last 2 or 3 press conferences now. Obviously, we're keeping up to January. We're on the 6th of December at the minute, so the January transfer market is fast approaching us, and it will open. And I fully expect Marcel Brands and Marco Silva to be in the market for a couple of positions. I think a striker, which is what we'll talk about in just a second. A right back, I think Seamus Coleman, although he's been quite up and down this season. I thought he was poor yesterday. I thought he was at fault for the goal, personally. And, maybe another attacking sort of midfield player to slot in the Sigurdsson role, or somebody that can play on the wing, just to give us another option. But he specifically said about the striker position, he was asked, we created the 2 chances yesterday, Tossen's one and Sigurdsson's one. He said, is the issue not scoring goals? Is it a case of that we just haven't got a player that will score goals at the minute? And he said, look, if you want to look at numbers, we should look at the games that we've played and not the goals that we've scored, basically. And what he meant by that is, he said, we need to look at Stamford Bridge and Anfield, 2 very tough games that we've gone to. And he said, we've scored pretty much every time we've played at home. And he mentioned, obviously, we scored yesterday against Newcastle, and then we had 2, but then he backfired that by saying, but we had 2 other chances that should have gone in, and if they'd have gone in, they'd have won the game. Obviously, he was referring to Cenk Tosun's and Gylfi Sigurdsson's, and he's absolutely right. But I think this is very interesting. He basically shut the question down. He said, if you want to look at numbers, we have to look at the games we've played. It's not easy to score at Stamford Bridge or Anfield. We scored again yesterday, and I think that's very telling, that, because what Marco Silva's doing there, I think, is he's dejecting the blame. I think if Marco Silva comes out and is asked the question, are you in for a goal scorer in January, and he goes, yeah, 100%, we're going to go in for a striker, we're going to spend this much on someone that can come in, slot in and score us 20 goals. He also said every single team is looking for a player that can score 25, 30, 20 goals a season. And I think what he's doing in saying that is he's protecting his players, because he knows if he comes out and says, yeah, we're looking for a striker, we're going to bring a striker in, they're going to score blah blah, however amount of goals, they're going to be class. Yes, all of us fans watching it will go, is right, they know what they're doing, fantastic. But the players, that'll then have an impact on the players. You'll have the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Cenk Tosun, Umar Niasse. Now, in my opinion, I think one of them will go in January, and I think it'll be Umar Niasse, if I'm being honest. I don't think he hasn't been near the team for the last few weeks, and I think he will go in January. I do. But if Marco Silva comes out and openly says, yes, we are going to be looking for a striker, yes, we will sign a goal-scoring striker, then other players automatically know that their place is not just in jeopardy, it's going to be changing. And the likes of Tosun, Calvert-Lewin and Niasse, like I've said, they're going to be thinking, okay, well, we're going to go down the pecking order here in terms of getting games, and the likes of Richarlison's going to go, is that somebody that's going to come in to replace me? I think Marco Silva's answered this question brilliantly, because we know he's in for a striker. Your boys just said we really need a good goal scorer, and we do, and it's no secret. Marco Silva knows that, Marcel Brands know that, we know that we're going to be in for a striker in January. I've got every single faith that we will sign a goal scoring striker. There's been rumours about Gabby Gall, there's been other rumours. I've seen Timo Werner in the last couple of days. I would absolutely love to sign Timo Werner. I don't know how realistic it is, I don't know if it's just a rumour, but that's been going on the last couple of days as well. But I think we know that we're going to be in for a striker, because that position is needed. That and right back and maybe a couple of others. I know that Marco Silva and Brands will be in for them, or they will be looking at players to fill them positions. But it is important that Silva doesn't come out to the press, it's still early in December, and announce that, because that could have an impact on the players. And what we're seeing at the minute is we're seeing a massive unity between the players. We're seeing that, training pictures of them hugging each other. There was a picture last week of Ademola Lookman and Cenk Tosun giving each other a big hug. Now, they're 2 players that Cenk Tosun hasn't been involved much recently. He obviously started yesterday, but he hasn't even been coming off the bench of recent. And Ademola Lookman, like I said, has been pushing, but hasn't got a start other than yesterday. And these pictures were obviously taken last week. So these are 2 players that, in other clubs, under other management, if that question was answered with, yes, we're going to get a striker, that's the situation where then players could go, you know what, what's the point in even signing training? What's the point in even, having a go? What's the point in trying to get in this team? Because we're not going to get in over Richarlison, and we're going to just go down the pecking order or be told in January. So I think he's answered it perfectly, and I don't know if it was just me, but I think Marco Silva got a little bit annoyed at the question, because he's been asked it, a couple of times. He was asked it in the Newcastle press conference as well, the pre-game press conference before yesterday's game, and he again answered, it's not a priority. We're not looking at January now. Yes, we will be in probably for the striker, but it's not something that we look at. Our main focus is to work with the players we've got, and I think that's fantastic by Silva, because what he's basically saying there is he's opening that up to say, listen, I'm going to work my absolute arse off with the players that we've got here now, and whoever's not good enough isn't good enough. Whatever position we need to, replace or bring somebody else in for, we will, but at the minute, the transfer window's not open, so I'm working with the players and I'm not saying any more than that, and I think that's fantastic. Your boys there said Timo Werner would be perfect. Absolutely he would. He's a class striker. He is an absolute class striker, and he's a goal scorer, and if he could come in, and there's been rumours of Lozano as well on the wing. I think they come from obviously the links with PSV with Marcel Brands. That would be another absolutely astonishing signing, and who knows what can happen in January. Like I said, we never really seen Lucas Dean coming until the last dying ends. We didn't ever see Bernard coming. I didn't. I was running around the park and just got a notification. Everton are in advanced talks with Bernard. And 3 days earlier, I'd seen Everton... I'd seen Everton in advanced talks with Malcolm. So I just thought, it's another tricky player that won't be coming to us. And he ends up signing, Mina, Andre Gomez. We left that till late. The good thing about this situation we have now is that nothing is getting released to the press, other than the odd rumours that people can piece together. There's a Brazilian striker there that's scoring goals in the Brazilian league. Everton have got 2 Brazilians already playing in their attacking lineup. Let's do an obvious link. Other than that, and obviously the obvious link between Lozano and Marcel Brands, and him trying to bring him in the summer apparently. It's brilliant that we haven't got somebody leaking news, because it will be a surprise in January when we sign a player. I'm not saying we won't sign Gabigol, I'm not saying we won't sign Lozano, but I think it's fantastic that all of this stuff gets done behind the scenes, because that's where it should be done. It shouldn't be leaked to Sky, it shouldn't be leaked to BT, it shouldn't be leaked all over Twitter. It should be done in private, because that protects the players that's coming in, and it protects obviously the current team as well. Anthony said, sorry mate, can't make this one. Thought he was poor last night though. No problem at all, don't worry about it. Like I said, if you can be here, absolutely fantastic. If you can't, do not worry about it. It'll be going up as a video anyway on the channel afterwards, so if you need to leave or if you miss it, then you can just check it out afterwards. That's absolutely no problem. Derby hangover, yep, still, and I think that was a little bit of yesterday, to be honest. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Obviously the fact that we weren't quite on the ball last night. Thought he was poor last night. Don't quite know who you're referring to there. Don't know if it's Lookman or I'm not too sure, but I think we were poor last night. Oh, he said we was poor last night. Yeah, 100% we were poor altogether. We were, and I think, like I said, it's a good opportunity to go into it. For me, it was a tiredness thing, and that was always going to be an issue. We were coming off a big win, a big win. It wasn't a big win. I wish it was a big win. We were coming off a big game at Anfield, where we lost quite harshly in the last dying embers of the game to an absolutely stupid goal. And we were always going to be tired. The likes of Andre Gomez, who Marco Silva keeps saying, and it's true, hasn't played football, at this sort of level, this consistently in 4 or 5 months. He wasn't really involved at Barcelona. Mina's obviously coming back from injury. We've got the new players. Bernard isn't up to fitness yet. Seamus Coleman's had injuries as well. So we were always going to be tired, and maybe that's why he brought the likes of Lookman into the team, Tosin into the team as well. Maybe that's why he brought Kurt Zouma into the team, to give Michael Keane a rest. But for me, I think in the games where we know we're going to be tired, which we did yesterday, and we didn't look as quick, we didn't look as urgent as we have done in recent games, and we really weren't, we weren't attacking the ball, we weren't getting to their man, we weren't chasing the ball down. But in them games, that's when the Tosin chance and the Sigurdsson chance really do need to hit the back of the net. And I think for me, the Sigurdsson one is a madness. We'll talk about it in just a second. I want to talk about the goals as well. But the Tosin one, I haven't seen a replay of it yet, but I'm to believe from what I've heard, that's another poor chance as well. So we'll go into obviously talking about the game as an overall. The game starts, we started slow. I think we were much better in the first half than we were the second half. Like I said, we started it slow. We were creating little chances here and there. We weren't doing much. You could tell we were tired. You could tell we were off. Obviously, there's we'll just go straight to the Newcastle goal. There's contention of a foul on Ademola Lookman. Marco Silva was asked about it today in his press conference. He said at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't. If there is a foul, yeah, it should have been a foul, but that foul happened. If it did, into our half, we should never have let their player run pretty much the whole length of the pitch and then get a cross in And then our excuse shouldn't be, well, it was a foul on Lookman. Okay, it was, but it wasn't like it was a foul on Lookman on the edge of our box and then he hit a wonder strike. It was a foul on Lookman miles away, and then a player comes in. That's why I think it's Seamus Coleman's fault. Seamus Coleman watches him for the whole time along that left-hand side. He watches him and then he lets him get the ball in. Rondon obviously comes in and you know, it's a pretty easy finish. It's a tap-in. For me, nothing really we can do, like I said, in terms of the centre-backs or Pickford, nothing there at fault, but I think it was just poor from Coleman, and I think it was poor sort of altogether in terms of just, you know, getting that, you know, being a little bit more intelligent and knowing what the player's going to do and thinking, I'm going to empty you here before you get to the byline and put a ball in, which is inevitably going to cause us harm. Like I said, yeah, we go in, first half, obviously we were then being a lot more forceful. I don't want to just sit here and rip players to bits. I don't, because I understand they were tired, but I do think Adisa Garnagay had another poor game. I think Lucas Digne had his worst game in an Everton shirt, and that's all I'm going to say about that, because for me, Lucas Digne's been absolutely fantastic since he's joined Everton. He has been wonderful. He has been a perfect replacement to Leighton Baines. The balls he can put into the box, the opportunities he can create, he's been absolutely fantastic. He's actually up for the Player of the Month award this month, so if you haven't already voted for him, go and vote for him there. But yeah, like I said, he was poor yesterday. I think it was probably his worst game in an Everton shirt, and every ball that he sort of tried to put in, it didn't quite make the man. It was either too low or too high. It's hard to score from a free kick towards the end as well, when we, you know, it was 1-1 and we were really looking for that winning goal, and really should have just whipped it in, but he didn't. But yeah, for me, Lucas Digne had a poor game, Garnagay had a poor game. I thought Andre Gomez played well. I put up my key player as Yerry Mina. I just think Yerry Mina was fantastic again. I really do. I think he was absolutely brilliant. I think Mina, since he's come in, has been a revelation. He is such a top defender, such a top centre-half, and he's one of them players that we need to build our team around. We need to, and obviously you don't build your team around the centre-half, but he needs to be in the plans. He is the number one centre-half now, and as far as I'm concerned, it's between Zuma and Keane. And for me, Keane's ahead of Zuma because he's our player. We've signed him on a permanent and he's been fantastic this season. But Yerry Mina is definitely the first centre-half on the team sheet, and I thought he was fantastic again yesterday in terms of getting every ball out. He was caught a couple of times going forward. He was caught, you know, with balls behind him, but he done well to get back and, you know, get the tackle in and make sure that nothing come of them chances. He also decided to put himself as a centre forward in the last 10 minutes. That's how desperate he was to score, and you can't really fault that from a player. So yeah, like I said, first half goes on, we weren't looking ourselves. We managed to get a goal. I don't think you can class it as a goal from a corner. A ball comes in, it's a little bit scrappy in the box. It's here and there, you know. About 4 players miss it. It comes to Richarlison, and he can't miss it really. I think Richarlison does well for this, because I think other players that maybe just got a little bit shocked and tried to hit it hard and low. He does well to understand that, you know, he needed to lift that ball up and above the keeper, because if it was hard and low, you know, the defender or the goalkeeper, they had a good chance of getting the foot on the ball. So he does well for the goal. We go in at half time 1-1, and you're thinking, you know what, we need a massive second half here. We've been okay in the first half, but we need a massive second half here, and we didn't. For me, I think the second half was worse. I don't think we created anywhere near enough chances. I think we were very sloppy. Obviously, we've seen the Cenk Tosun chance, which was just baffling. We've seen the Sigurdsson chance. Oh my God. We'll talk about the Sigurdsson chance now, and what better time, eh? For me, Gylfi Sigurdsson gets the ball, and there's a defender and there's a goalkeeper in front of him. The goalkeeper dives that way to his right, to the goalkeeper's right. The defender slides to the goalkeeper's right. The left-hand side of the goal, Sigurdsson's right-hand side, is open. He has pretty much the entire of that side to aim at, and he aims it right where the goalkeeper is diving and the defender is sliding. And I think it's just a little bit of a lack of composure for me. I think it's poor for me. You know, a player of that experience, a player of that quality should be, you know, taking it down and thinking, here's an empty goal here. It's in the back of the net. The Tosun one, it's poor, but, you know, he's not been involved recently, and he probably is a little bit, you know, unfit. He probably is a little bit short of confidence in terms of in front of goal. But Marco Silva said it himself today, you know, if we'd have scored them 2 chances, we'd have won the game, and we really would have, and it was poor for us to not score them chances. It really was. We needed to put them in the back of the net, especially in a game that we were going to be a little bit tired. We were going to be a little bit off the ball because of the game we played on Sunday. We really needed to make sure that them type of chances went in, and it didn't go astray, and that's what, you know, bit us on the bum at the end of it for me. But yeah, obviously the game then goes on. We don't really create much, to be honest with you. There's little chances here and there. We're pushing for the goal. We really are pushing in the last sort of 10 and 15 minutes. They end up counter-attacking us and going up and nearly scoring themselves. I think Christian Atsu had an opportunity, ended up being offside, but they nearly, went up and it nearly bit us on the arse. But for me, we just weren't good enough all game, and Marco Silva, obviously he said with the chances we should have scored them, and for me, that is the case. We're not scoring enough goals. I don't think we're creating enough chances, but the chances we're creating some really clear-cut chances and not scoring. You've got the Gomez one at Anfield, you've got the Mina one at Anfield, you've got the Sigurdsson one yesterday, the Tosin one yesterday, you've got the Dominic Calvert-Lewin one against Arsenal going back there. We had chances against Chelsea as well. We're having chances. Maybe we're not having a lot of chances, but we're having enough chances and enough clear-cut chances to put the ball in the back of the net, and we're just not doing that. Jack Coleman says, do you think Richarlison could get a move to a bigger club next summer? I don't myself. I think, and to answer that question, literally, I think he could get a move to a bigger club. I really do. I think there will be a lot of clubs in for him in the summer. You're looking at maybe a Tottenham, maybe an Arsenal who are coming in terms of who are better than us at the moment in the league, but I don't think Richarlison would go. Richarlison's got a fantastic... He's got a fantastic relationship with Marco Silva. He said it before multiple times. He's like his dad in football, and I know that might not mean much in this day and age. I know that the fact Richarlison is settled in well at Everton and he loves the fans mightn't mean anything in this day and age. It's really tough with football these days. It really is, because Richarlison has showed the signs of a player that will be at Everton for the rest of his career, but you never know. We've had boiled Evertonians, and I'm looking at Ross Barkley here when I'm saying this, that you'd think, you know what, you're going to be at Everton for the rest of your career, and they've turned us away and stuck us in the dirt. So you never really know. I don't think Richarlison will leave. I don't think he will. I think he will see out this contract and then sign another one, and he will probably sign another one before this one's up, maybe even as early as next season with a massive extension on it, because I think he's settling in at Everton. He's doing well. He's being asked to play in a couple of different positions, and he's doing well. He's scoring goals. He scored again yesterday. The reason he's in the Brazil team is because of how well he's playing at Everton, because of how well he's playing under Marco Silva. I just think Richarlison will be here for the foreseeable future, for a very, very long time for me, unless something miraculously awful happens, or he has a big massive falling out, or for whatever reason Marco Silva has to leave the club and Richarlison doesn't get on with the next manager. As long as Marco Silva's here, I see Richarlison being here, especially when he's performing and he's scoring goals like this. Jack Coleman says, would you take Lukaku back? Listen, it's a really interesting one. I'm glad you've answered that question. I asked that question. Sorry, I'm really glad you've asked that question, because it is a really interesting one. For me, listen, there's no hiding it. Lukaku is slated by Manchester United fans. He's absolutely slated. I watch other fan channels just to get an interest in what other clubs are up to. And Richarlison is slated quite openly by United fans. He's called Timberland boots. He's being called the worst striker to ever put a Manchester United shirt on. He's basically been hung out to dry, and I think a lot of that is because he's very close to Jose Mourinho, and Jose Mourinho's maybe playing him when he's not playing well, and he's not playing well. We've all seen the video of his first touch and him falling over the ball, and we've all seen the fact that he's not on goal scoring form at the minute. Listen, you'd ask any United fan, you'd ask any Everton fan, the Lukaku at Everton wasn't the Lukaku that signed for Manchester United. I'm not just talking about the fact that he may have put weight on and all that stuff. He was fantastic at Everton. Now, I wouldn't take him back, and I'll answer that in just a second, but he was fantastic at Everton, and he's not been like that at Manchester United. Now, if you were telling, I wouldn't take him back either way, but if you're saying, would you take the Lukaku back now, that's playing for United, I wouldn't take him back on his performances. I wouldn't take him back on his ability, because I don't think he's been fantastic this season, and I think he has got worse. If you were saying, I'd still say no. If you said, would you take the Lukaku back that we sold? Now, Jack Coleman just said then, his first touch is terrible, though it really is, and Lukaku was a monster at Everton. He was an absolute monster, and he was fantastic. And listen, it's ironic, and it's probably going to sound a bit hypocritical, but Lukaku is the type of player that Everton need at the minute. He's a goal scoring striker that can score 25 to 30 goals a season at his best. Exactly what Marco Silva has said that every club's in for, exactly what we need, and exactly what we're looking to get in January. The reason I wouldn't take him back is the same reason I wouldn't have Marco Arnautovic, and that's because I think they're mercenaries. I really do think they're mercenaries. Every time Lukaku had a good game at Everton, he was looking elsewhere. He was always in the media when he went on international duty. He was always saying, you know, I'm not happy at Everton. I need to be playing Champions League football. I need this, I need that, all the time. Even when our fans backed him to the absolute brim when he was performing really poorly. He had a really poor spell, and then he played against Chelsea in the FA Cup, and I think he scored twice, and he was fantastic. And we backed him to the brim, and he still went out, and he still made the point that he didn't want to be at our club, and he wanted to move. And you know what? I don't think that's an Everton issue. I think that's a Lukaku issue. He's done that his whole career. We've seen him at Manchester United. We've seen him very recently say, maybe the Serie A is the league for me. Maybe Juventus is the team for me. I wouldn't have him back, because I think he would ruin the team spirit. I think he would ruin what Marco Silva spent the last 6 months building, and I think that team spirit is the team spirit that, you know, has won us a lot of games this season. It definitely has. You've seen the celebrations, you've seen how the lads how the lads act with each other, and they play with each other, and that'd have been a bit mad. I don't think bringing a player like Arnautovic in or Lukaku would help that in any way, because they would want the team to be based around them. They would want everybody to pass to them. They would want every goal that went in to have an involvement with them, and if they wouldn't, they'd spit the dummy, they'd disrupt the dressing room, and they would automatically be calling for other moves, and if it went wrong, they'd be the first one to leave the door. So I wouldn't have Lukaku back now. Just gonna have a drink here. My throat is a little bit dry. This is gonna come through as see-through on the green screen. It's actually Fanta, so, you know, sorry about that, but yeah, that's what happens when you talk for half an hour and your throat gets a little bit dry. Jack says there, should Everton go for Callum Wilson? It's a very good shout. It is. Callum Wilson has been on fantastic form recently, obviously playing for Bournemouth, recently got into the England squad as well, scored on his England debut for the England men's team. I haven't seen enough of him, I'm not going to lie, I haven't. I watch Everton every week, but I'm not going to lie, I don't watch the Premier League every week. I watch fan channels, like I said, and I watch every other game that I can catch. I haven't seen enough of Callum Wilson, but what I know is that he has been fantastic this season. He's been on great goal scoring form. He himself is a big, strong centre forward, a little bit reminiscent of a Lukaku when he first signed for Everton. I don't know whether he's done enough yet for me to sign him. I think we would have to pay massive amounts of money to bring Callum Wilson in. I don't think we'll be able to bring him in January. I don't think Bournemouth would sell their key player in January. And I think if we brought him in the summer, we'd have to pay, you know, stupid amount, 60, 70 odd million. And I haven't seen enough of him to warrant that sort of transfer fee for a player like that. Maybe if he has another fantastic season next season, and, you know, he gets it underway again, and he's in good goal scoring form, and he continues to be in the England team, maybe we'll have a punt at him next season or next January. But I don't think he is. He's there now. I don't think he's done enough for me to you know. The thing that we need to realise is that we aren't just in for another striker that's gonna, you know, make up the numbers, or that's gonna play every now and then. We're in for a starter every week. We're in for a striker that's going to play in the Premier League every single week for Everton, and that's going to be needed to score goals every single week for Everton, and I don't think we should rely that on a Callum Wilson. Timo Werner really excites me, to be honest. Every time I think of it now, I'm just looking back at that comment, every time I think of it, it really excites me. Jack said, best centre-back partnership for me, it's Mina and either Keane or Zuma, and that's a really poor answer. Sorry, I'm not going to go with that one. It's hard for me, because I don't think Zuma's put a foot wrong, and I don't think Michael Keane's put a foot wrong all season. Yerry Mina is definitely one of the two for me. 100% one of the two. I'm going to go with Michael Keane, just because he's an Everton player. He's been fantastic this season. He's massively improved. And I'm not going to say the fact that we were out of shape yesterday and the fact that we got caught a couple of times was down to Kurt Zouma, because I think Kurt Zouma has been also fantastic and is a very good player. But, you know, I think we just looked defensively stronger with Keane and Yerry Mina, rather than obviously yesterday when we got caught a couple of times. So that's who I'd go with. I'd go with Keane and Yerry Mina. So a couple of more things to talk about before we end the team. Obviously, I wanted to talk about the 3 changes. I've made some notes here, that's why I keep looking down. So obviously, Ademola Lookman come in, Cenk Tosun come in, and Zouma come in. We'll go in that order. We'll talk about Lookman first, then Tosun, and then Kurt Zouma. So Ademola Lookman comes in. For me, it's a really strange one with Lookman, it really is, because, listen, I was calling for him and I wanted him to start this game, and I was made up that he did start this game. Absolutely over the moon. He deserved his chance, and he's been fantastic off the bench, and he did deserve his chance. I think, having watched Ademola Lookman yesterday, and I spent a lot of the game, because it wasn't a really exciting game, let's be honest, I spent a lot of the game just watching Ademola Lookman and seeing just how good he is as a player and what he can do with this opportunity, because this is a massive opportunity for Ademola Lookman. Listen, you know, he has been fantastic off the bench. He really has. But there's a massive difference between being a super sub and being, starting player every single week and turfing Theo Walcott of that position. I think Lookman on the ball is fantastic. I think when he's got the ball and he's driving forward, he's very skillful, he's very quick, and he's very intelligent. The worry I have with Ademola Lookman, and I've seen it a lot yesterday, and I've seen it before with him as well, is when he's off the ball, I don't know whether he does enough. I don't know whether he does enough movement, and this was a real issue towards the start of the season, and this was a big reason, I think, why a lot of fans were saying sell him, because I think the word lazy got battered about a lot. And, when you're watching a game and you're seeing a player just stand there and not really move much, you automatically do think you're being lazy. For me, I just think he was daydreaming quite a bit. I don't think he had that mind to think, right, I'm going to get in this position, I'm going to get in that position, I'm going to move about. He did at times. He did when the play was coming towards him, and when one of our players, whether it be Gomez, Gay, Sigurdsson, had the ball and they were running towards him, he did make that movement, but it was almost like he had to be prompted to move rather than just doing it off his own back. And I don't know whether that is an issue. That he can learn that, and that will only get better. Jack just said then he has so much potential. He does, and he really does. And coming off the bench, we've seen how good of a player he is. He's absolutely fantastic. Once he's got that ball and he's driving at defenders, and he's making problems, he is absolutely wonderful. He's a great footballer, and I'll stick with saying I think Ademola Lookman needs to be in and around the starting 11 rather than just a super sub, because I do think he has a lot to offer. There's been a lot of talk, has he got a lot more than Theo Walcott? Who should start? Is he better than Walcott? I think Theo's got a lot to offer as well. I think they have different amounts to offer. I think they both different players, if you like. I think Theo's a lot more experienced, obviously, and there's a lot more to offer getting back defensively, doing the easy bits, but I think Ademola Lookman has a lot more to offer in terms of running forward and beating a man and getting into a real goal-scoring position. So for me, I don't think he was fantastic yesterday, but I don't think he didn't take his chance. I think he was okay. He definitely wasn't the worst player on the pitch. I said that in my instant match reaction. He definitely wasn't the worst player on the pitch, and when he had the ball in spells, he done bits. He was very much in and out the game for me, but his movement off the ball, I did think was an issue. I don't know whether that's just me, but I did think it was a little bit of an issue. He'll get better at that. He will. That will fade out, and once he's coached a little bit more, he will start to realise that he needs to do a bit more movement off the ball. And I do firmly believe he might even start against Watford on Monday night. Who knows? Marco Silva might go with Bernard on the left, Richarlison up front, Walcott on the right. Who knows? But I think he has got a lot of potential, and he is a fantastic footballer. He just needs to add that bit to his game, and then a little bit more sort of awareness, because when he's got the ball, he is absolutely brilliant. There's no doubt about it in terms of attacking. He's fantastic. When he hasn't got the ball, I think that's when he struggles a little bit. So Cenk Tosun for me. Again, we've spoken about Lookman. That was his chance to do it, to shine. I don't think he particularly took it. If you'd have said to Ademola Lookman at the start of this game, if you don't take this opportunity and you're not fantastic and you're not unbelievable, you'll never wear an Everton shirt again. If you were to say that, I don't think he'd wear an Everton shirt again. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think he was fantastic, but I think he done well. He was good enough for me, and he definitely deserves more starts, and I think I will probably put him in against Watford, but I don't know. That's something I'm going to have to think about, and I dare say that's something Marco Silva's going to have to think about as well, is whether he will start him again against Watford, or whether he's seen enough there to think, for the minute you are just a super sub and you are going to be a player that, comes off the bench and is utilised in that way. So Cenk Tosun, for me, this was Cenk Tosun's chance to do it. It was. He wasn't going to get many of them. Richarlison's been playing okay up front. He's been scoring goals. The Brighton game is absolutely fantastic. We've got other players there. Obviously, we've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who was knocking on the door, very young, got a lot of potential as well, very good player. I won't mention Niasse because he hasn't even been in the 18 for the last few weeks, but for me, this was Cenk Tosun's real opportunity to prove himself and to at least give Marco Silva the decision to make as to, okay, we've got a really good striker here that can come on or maybe start games. For me, he didn't do himself any favours. He really didn't. The chance that he misses is golden, and for me, I've just said for me way too many times there, he needs to score that, and I think that's the sign of a player that is playing without confidence, and it probably is. And I really like Cenk Tosun. I think he's a top man, and I think he works his absolute arse off every time he puts the royal blue shirt on, or the white shirt, or the black and pink shirt, whatever one. Every time he puts an Everton shirt on, I think he works his absolute arse off. But there is questions as to whether he's good enough, and at the end of the day, when you're given an opportunity like this, it was in a Premier League game, it was at Goodison Park, he was obviously told you're going to start up front now. He should have took that as okay, I mightn't get many more of these, so I'm going to really impress. And I think his attitude was that way, and he did. You seen him chasing down everything, he was running his arse off, and I think his attitude was, I'm going to impress, but in front of goal, he didn't do enough. He didn't hold the ball up well enough for me, he didn't, get in the right positions for me, and that chance, you need to score that. If he scores that chance, Marco Silva's got a decision to make against Watford. If he puts that in the back of the net, Marco Silva's going, okay, Richarlison scored, but look, Cenk Tosun, started up front, and he put the ball in the back of the net now as well. So he's knocking on the door, and I feel a bit sorry for Cenk Tosun, because I just don't think he did. I don't think he gave Marco Silva that decision to make, because I don't think he took that chance. And it's sad, but I'm not saying that Cenk Tosun will never play for Everton again. I'm not saying that he's not good enough to be a substitute, or he's not good enough to play against the weaker teams. I just think in terms of being our out-and-out striker, our first choice, I don't think he's done himself any favours in that game yesterday. And I think Richarlison obviously got the goal. He will probably more than likely play up front against Watford, unless Marco Silva opts with putting Lookman up front instead, or Walcott. There's options there. I think it'll more than likely be Richarlison, but I think Cenk Tosun hasn't helped himself there. So the K2 one, like we mentioned before, other than it may have disrupted the centre-back partnership between Yerry Mina and Michael Keane, and that may or may not have been the reason that we did look a little bit sloppy yesterday. I don't know. I don't think that's fair to put that on Kurt for me. Maybe it's fair to put it on Marco Silva. Maybe it's fair to say, you should never have changed the centre-back partnership because they were playing so well together. But it's not fair to put it on Kurt Zouma. Kurt Zouma didn't do anything wrong. He didn't, he was solid, he was fantastic, as he has been for Everton all the way through the season, and he done enough for me. He would be the one that misses out on opportunities every week. He would be the one that sits out. It would be Yerry Mina and Michael Keane for me, but that's nothing to do with Kurt Zouma and him not being good enough, and him not performing well enough. I just think that Michael Keane and Yerry Mina are obviously the two players that we have signed on permanent deals, and they've been playing very well this season. I would love to sign Kurt Zouma on a permanent deal, I really would, but at the moment, while he's on loan, I think he does have to be the backup. So I think we're going to leave it there. Very, very long stream. Thank you everyone for getting involved. 41 minutes, the longest one we've ever done. Obviously, it was a very poor game. It was disappointing. Like I said right at the start of the stream, if you'd asked Evertonians, about yesterday and about Sunday, and you'd have said, a lot of Evertonians have said, Sunday was a fantastic performance, yesterday was a really poor performance, and it was, and it's quite ironic because we got a point out of yesterday and we didn't get anything out of Sunday. In fact, we give away quite a humiliating goal, quite an awful goal to concede against them lot across the park, but we performed a lot better than we did yesterday. So the important thing for me now is to move on with it, go at Watford or at Goodison Park on Monday night. Let's go out there, let's get a win. It's vitally important now that we get a win. Manchester United drew with Arsenal yesterday. The reason I'm saying that is because they are, well, I know United are 8th and we're 6th, but they're in and around us. Arsenal obviously 5th, so it's not too bad that they drew. Obviously it ended up, the two games ended up being irrelevant because each team took a point, but yeah, we really need to go out now and beat Watford to solidify ourselves as a real challenger for this top 6, top 5. If we want to be seen as a real threat to the top 6, and the bigger teams, and a team that's gonna get European football and going to do well in Europe next season, we needed to be beating the teams like Newcastle, and we really need to be beating Watford at home on Monday. So thank you very much for watching this team. John says, happy Christmas, pal. Thank you very much. Happy Christmas to you too. I hope you love the background with the tree and the tinsel and the snow outside, even though it's unlikely to snow. But happy Christmas to you too, and happy Christmas to everybody else as well if you're celebrating it. So that's going to do it for this live stream. Thank you very much for watching. Please do leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. Thank you very much to everybody that was in the live chat. Jack Coleman, thanks for your contributions, absolutely brilliant. Your boy as usual, thank you very much. Anthony as well with the brief appearance, thank you. And then John with the nice little message there, thank you very much. Thanks to everyone that's watching as a video as well. If you missed the stream, don't worry, you can catch it as a video on the YouTube channel pretty much straight afterwards. Leave your comments in the comment section of the video as well, and I'll be replying to them pretty much all night and all tomorrow on on what you guys thought of the game, and we'll have a nice little discussion. Like the video, like I said, if you have enjoyed, please do subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, it's at MightyBluesYT, to keep up to date with all of the latest Everton information. We'll have the preview to the Watford game out tomorrow. Tomorrow, like I said, around 7 o'clock. Marco Silva's had this pre-game press conference today, so a little bit of news just before we leave. He said that there's no injuries, and the only injury that was from the Liverpool game, from the Newcastle game, was Morgan Schneiderlin, and he is progressing well, he said. So there's no fresh injuries. Obviously, they've got another couple of training sessions to go, so if there's any updates on that, we will be updating you on our Twitter, at MightyBluesYT. If any, touch wood, they don't, but if anybody gets an injury in training or anything like that happens, that'll be updated on Twitter. And if it's before tomorrow, I'll make another video. Well, I'll be recording the preview to the game in a minute, just after this stream, so I probably won't be announcing it on the preview, but I will record a separate video if there's a massive injury that's going to really affect the game. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for the game preview to the Watford game. Hopefully we can go out and get another 3 points, get back to winning ways. We've had our derby, we've had the hangover now, 2 poor results, one poor performance, one fantastic performance. So let's hope we can go out and have a fantastic performance and a fantastic result on Monday night against Watford. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Like I said, like the video if you have, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Watford preview. Up the Blues, up Marco Silva, up Richarlison, up Tosin, up Digne, up Coleman, up Lookman. Let's just be positive and say that was a one-off game, and we're going to be much better on Monday. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.